Hey, and what is going on, everybody? Zero here. We got some more Diablo action. As promised, we are talking about Rolands today, guys. The Rolands build. So Rolands, once upon a time, was pretty darn strong, and for a long time now, it has not been. So they've made a buff to it. Let's talk about the buff real quick. On the 4-piece set, increase the damage of shield bash and sweep attack to 2,500%. Much bigger than it used to be. Much bigger. And it makes a substantial difference. Running 80 to 85 is totally a possibility, especially at high Paragon, even without totally optimized gear. That being said, I think there are some issues with Rolands still, and we'll get into that after we look at the skills and the gear. Okay. Also, the footage you're going to see is an 80 running the furnace in the cube. One of the things I do like about the build is that there is quite a bit of leeway in terms of what you can run in the cube in that slot, because obviously the furnace isn't always the easiest thing to obtain. So that being said, I'll talk briefly when we get to the cube section about other options for that slot if you cannot find a furnace. Okay, so skills, guys. It's pretty standard. I'm doing a lightning version of this right now. You can also roll a fire version of this, but I much prefer lightning. And I think a lot of people are. Sweep attack, trip attack. Sweep a mystical flail through enemies up to 18 yards before you, dealing 480% weapon damage. Enemies hit by your sweep attack have a 50% chance of being stunned for 2 seconds. Using Steed Charge, Draw, and Quarter, you can pretty much use any rune you want here, though for me personally I wouldn't use anything but Rejuvenation, Endurance, and Draw and Quarter. The other two really aren't worth it for this build. Akarat's Champion with Prophet, gonna get way more toughness out of this, and you're gonna get that second chance life as well, which is something you definitely need in the 80s. Condemn Vacuum for pulling enemies in, which is what you want. You want everything in a tight group. It's very important for this build. Iron Skin Flash. Skin turns to iron, absorbing 50% of all incoming damage. If you take damage, you get increased movement speed by 60% for 5 seconds. And Laws of Valor, Unstoppable Force, Empowering the Law, granting you and your allies 15% increased attack speed. Attack speed is huge on this build, like it seems to be for many Crusader builds. Reducing the wrath cost of all skills by 50% for 5 seconds is another huge thing because sweep attack is expensive. And recite the passive, Recite the Law, granting you and your allies 8% increased attack speed. More attack speed, yes. Passive skills, we're using Heavenly Strength because we are using a two-handed flail, and we also need a shield. Can't run it without a shield. No way. Holy Cause, the amount of damage dealt by your weapon is increased by 10%. Whenever you deal holy damage, you heal up to 1% of your total life. This one, not really the best for me, but there's really not much else you can put into this spot, in my opinion. And I think it's, you know, everybody's kind of opinion here. Each point of wrath spent heals you. This could be definitely viable, but I see a lot of people running it with Holy Cause, just for the 10% increased damage there. It sucks though because you don't get anything in terms of the life regen, because you're not doing holy damage, you're doing lightning damage. So there's probably some other things that you can stick in here, but right now that's what I'm using. Indestructible, second life again, and Finery, 1.5% strength for every gem socketed. Okay, that is the skills. Let's look at the gear. So of course we are running the Rolands set 2-piece reads. Every use of shield bash and sweep attack reduces the cooldowns of your laws and defensive skills by 1 second. That's quite big. Get a lot of cooldown out of that. And then of course we get the huge damage increase on sweep attack. on the 4-piece, and then on the 6-piece, every use of shield dash or sweep attack that hits an enemy grants you 50% increased attack speed and 15% damage reduction for 8 seconds. This effect stacks up to 5 times. So it's a very big damage reduction. Now, I've heard some people talking about, oh, it's not enough, you know, it's still too squishy, and I disagree with that entirely. I don't think it's too squishy. You know, once you get 75 plus, 80 plus, most builds are squishy. I mean, the monsters are doing so much damage. I mean, how could you not be? So I don't think it's too squishy. I think that's fine. I mean, how much more damage reduction can this set give you? Is it going to give you 20% per stack and give you 100% damage reduction? I mean, that's a little much, don't you think? So we're running with the full 6-piece set, no Rorg in this build. We're running gloves, strength, attack speed, crit chance, and area damage, or crit damage is a good roll on here. Shoulders, ideally strength, vite, area damage, and cooldown. In your helmet, strength, vite, crit chance, with a diamond in there. On your chest piece, strength, vite, armor. Now I'm rolling all diamonds for the added all res. If you think you're tough enough without it, go strength gems and you'll have even more power. Pants, strength, vite, all res, or armor, whichever one you can get. And then on the boots, just try to go pure tank with some sweep attack damage on there. You don't need the movement speed, obviously. You can get that with your Paragon points. The other set that we are running is, of course, the Endless Walk. Whenever you're doing damage with this build, you will be standing still, so there's no reason not to use this set. There is definitely some viable options in terms of not running this set, but I don't think you'll go nearly as high. Like, you could roll an SOJ here with lightning damage, and then a Hellfire Amulet or an Immunity Amulet, but I don't think that you would be able to push as high without this 100% damage buff. That's my personal opinion. Okay, so on the ring, I've got strength, attack speed, area damage, cooldown, and I think that that's going to be BIS roll for this ring. On the amulet, I've got strength, crit chance, crit damage. I think BIS would probably be to not have the main stat and have lightning damage. Okay. On your bracers, guys, we're going to be using the Ancient Parthon Defenders. I can't believe I'm actually using Ancient Parthon Defenders. Lightning skills, strength, fight, and life per hit is what I'd say you should roll on these. And the affix is each stunned enemy within 25 yards reduces damage taken by 11%. So when there is loads of trash around, you can have huge damage reduction from these bracers. And the playstyle of the build really supports these bracers a lot, because what you need to do, even when fighting elites, to really put them down quickly is to group up as much trash as possible and then stand in front of the pack. Try not to stand in the middle, even though a lot of times you'll forget and you'll just stand in the middle. Try to stand in front of the pack and hitting the whole freaking pack, and you're just going to get this mad damage reduction. It's fantastic. Belt wise, we're using the Thunder God's Vigor. This is what I see a lot, like in the forums and whatnot, and discussions about this build. A lot of people using this. That being said, you don't have to use this, but I would recommend it because you can roll that lightning damage on it, guys. So lightning damage and then strength, fight, life percent, or all res or armor or whatever, right? And the special affix blocking or dodging or being hit causes you to discharge bolts of electricity that deal up to 130% weapon damage as lightning. So that might not seem like a lot, but it really adds up, because honestly you see it go off just constantly going off. So it does add up to a fair amount of damage coming off this belt. That being said, you could go pure damage belt and go with a witching hour, but if you were going to do that, I would say that you must have lightning skills on your amulet and on your bracers. But I still think that the Thunder God's Vigor is a better choice, especially if you have lightning skills on all three of these pieces. Your lightning damage is going to be nuts. Our other ring is the Convention of Elements, guys. I would go trifecta with this. So obviously you're going to be doing mad damage during the lightning roll. Now this slot right here, I want to quickly say, and I know I mentioned it in my last video, how angry I am about what they're doing with the build, and this ring is pretty much the reason. This slot right here is the reason I'm angry. As great as this build is now, so much stronger than it was before, I still don't think it's strong enough to put it in meta or even close to meta. And I think that the reason for that is because unlike some of the other classes, Wizard, I'm looking at you, we don't have anything to really pump up our lightning damage. So the Wizard has the Manald Heal, which is absolutely a ridiculous piece of equipment. It is so strong. That legendary affix is so ridiculously strong that it just makes you, when you play lightning class on another character, say, man, this sucks, because you've played lightning on Wizard and you're like, I got a Manald Heal and I'm just fucking melting everything in sight because of it, right? Especially with, we already covered the dual Hydras. They need to change that ring. That needs to be an all-class ring. That is my personal opinion. If this build had Manald Heal, holy shit, the damage would be insane. But we don't have it, so it's never going to be meta, this build. It's a fun build to play. You could definitely play multiplayer in it, but if you're trying to like push 90 plus in a group, I highly doubt that this is going to fit into it, unless somebody figures out a way to squeeze even more damage out of the build. But I don't see it happening. Shield, denial, strength, fight, life percent, block chance. Each enemy hit by your sweep attack increases the damage of your next sweep attack by 38%, stacking up to 5 times. So this is one of the reasons that you constantly want, on top of the 6-piece set here, this is one of the reasons you constantly want to be grouping enemies up around elites and backing out of the group a little, attacking from the front of the group and hitting as many enemies as possible. You constantly want this 5 stacks up, and you want to be focusing your attacks on the elites, so that these huge chunks of damage pop off with your sweep attacks. It's a very strong shield for this build anyway. And lastly, we're looking at the Golden Fleece. Mine is really, really unideal. I'd say obviously you want lightning damage on this instead of fire, unless you're running a fire build. 10% damage, strength, vitality, and sweep attack is the role that I prefer on this. You could definitely switch it up. You could definitely go damage percent, strength, attack speed, or area damage with the sweep attack damage on there. So this really boosts up your sweep attack damage, obviously, because it rolls it on there up to 200%. And then the special affix reads, sweep attack restored 6 wrath for each enemy hit, and 6 is the max. So this is another reason why you constantly want big groups and be hitting as many as possible at the same time, because what will end up happening is that if you have big huge groups, you're hitting so many enemies, you don't lose any wrath, you stay at full wrath, which is a very big component to this build. And the reason for that is because in the cube we are running the Aquila Curious. While above 90% primary resource, all damage taken is reduced by 50%. So on top of our 15% damage reduction for 8 seconds, stacking up to 5 times from the 6-piece set, we're getting another 50% out of the Aquila Curious, and you combine that with the damage reduction from the Ancient Parthon Defenders, and this build has a ton of damage reduction. And if you put in some life on hit on your gear, you should be able to sustain yourself properly. Life on hit is very valuable on this, so much so that you could probably even lose the crit chance if you have enough on the rest of your gear with the helmet and put in more life on hit. And it's just because of the play style of the build. You're grouping things up and you're hitting as many things as you possibly can, that you can really sustain yourself, and just by hitting things, you're buffing your toughness constantly. Okay, also in the cube we have the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac for cooldowns, and then lastly we have the Furnace. When we're talking about the Furnace, guys, I said that there are other options for this slot. Furnace is definitely the best, especially for the Rift Guardians. When it comes to the progression of the Rift, It's not as important. It's obviously going to help you with the elites, mind you, but you really need it against the Guardian, especially if you get a Guardian with no ads. Other choices that you can use here. Here we go. Salvation. If you have high block chance, blocked attacks heal you and your allies for 30% of the amount blocked. If you're having problems sustaining yourself, you can use this if you have high block chance, and it will help alleviate some of your sustain issues. Though I would say this is probably at the bottom of the barrel for choices in here. Other viable choices are, here we go. Blood Brother grants 20% block chance, blocked attacks inflict 30% less damage. After blocking an attack, your next attack inflicts 30% additional damage. So this is a totally viable option as well, though again, it's not even close to as strong as running with the Furnace. And then lastly, and I would say probably in the second position for this slot would be Akarat's Addendum. Akarat's Champion gains the effects of Prophet and Embodiment of Power runes. And if you're running with this in the cube, I would use the Hasteful rune for your Akarat's Champion. But again, the Furnace is definitely going to be best in slot for that position. Lastly, for the build, guys, let's quickly talk about the legendary gems. We are using Bane of the Stricken. Each attack you make against an enemy increases the damage it takes by 1.63%, depending on your level, obviously, and gain 25% increased damage against bosses and Rift Guardians. So this is a big one. You really need this against the Guardians. Again, the Guardian is the big problem with this build, especially if you get no ads. If you get ads, even if you just get a couple of ads, you'll see a huge difference. And I'm going to use a clip against the Stone Slinger Guardian just to kind of showcase that. You'll see that when he doesn't have his little mortar things out, I'm doing significantly less damage. And once he gets a couple of those out, you just see huge chunks of damage popping off him. Bane of the Trapped, increased damage against enemies under the effects of control impairing effects, 39.3 depending on the level. Gain an aura that reduces the movement speed of enemies within 15 yards by 30%. So obviously Bane of the Trapped, best gem in the game for all classes. And lastly, Gogok of Swiftness, gain swiftness with every attack, increase your attack speed by 1% and dodge by 1.32% for 4 seconds. This effect stacks up to 15 times. Gain 1% cooldown reduction per stack of swiftness. So more cooldown. So we have a few things that are giving us cooldown because we want Akarat's Champion up as much as possible. We want everything up as much as possible. And that's the build. It's a fun build, guys. I really actually enjoy it a lot with just that one damage change on the 4-piece. But I still don't think it's enough to really push it into a place where it could be meta. And quite frankly, I think that the Crusader really needs something to help propel it towards a meta position. And I think a lot... and it's not the only class. I mean, we're looking at Demon Hunter as well is a big problem in the game, and not having any place. You know, there needs to be some sort of shift happen within the game where it allows there to be more than one meta for group play. You know, we need to have a handful of metas for group play, and I think allowing the Man-Alt Heal to be an all-class item would be all you need. Demon Hunters or Crusaders with Man-Alt Heal, I mean, come on. The damage would be nuts for certain builds, and this build in particular. So there you go, guys. That's Rolands. That's the Lightning Sweep Attack build on PTR 2.5. It is vastly improved just because of that one change from what it is currently on live. Go ahead yourself, guys. Hop on PTR and check it out. It's definitely fun. I like it. Kind of makes me want to continue playing Crusader next season, but I know I already said I'm not going to play Crusader next season. It's going to be Wizard or Barb, I think. But I don't know, man. If they make another change to Rolands and buff it a little bit more, I already know that I'm going to end up sticking with Crusader. So yeah, remember also, guys, that this is PTR. It's all subject to change. They could change it 10 minutes after I freaking post this video, it could be changed. So, but right now, I mean, that's what it is. That's what's going on. It's pretty badass. So like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Let me know what you think. Is this enough of a change for Rolands? Do you think Manal Teal should be an all-class item? I do. It's not fair that the wizard has that, man. It's not fair. We don't have, none of the other classes have anything even close to as baller as that freaking ring, man. So like, comment, subscribe, share the video, tell your friends to come by, god damn it. Later.